Dr. Wyard, I can't believe you're finally retiring after all these years with OCPA and TCO. You've had a phenomenal career with us, and you've done a phenomenal job as our first Chief Medical Officer. And I'm really going to miss the casual conversations we've had with one another at Golden Valley over the last couple of years. But the things I'm going to miss the most about you actually are golfing, because if I'm in your foursome, I know that we're never going to lose. I missed the Tuesday lunches around your birthday because I knew we were always going to get fried chicken from Mac and Tunes, which was always a fan favorite. But in all seriousness, your leadership and your contributions to the practice have been second to none. And I really wish you the best in retirement, and don't be a stranger.
The one statement that you made to me early on, we had a conversation, and you may not remember this, about independent physicians and what it means to be an independent physician. And this actually still stays with me today. I still share this comment at onboarding with our new employees. As you made a statement about being an independent physician, you're only as good as your last patient. And that really has resonated with me to today. Thank you for that. Again, it's been an absolute blast to work with you over the years. Your passion for medicine, your passion for TCO has just been something that has impressed me every single day.
When I came to the group, I mean, frankly, I was a little bit intimidated by him because he's pretty much no nonsense, and he's very good at telling you what's on his mind, and it's usually crystal clear. And I thought to myself, well, I don't want to irritate this guy. I want to sort of see what he does, sort of follow his lead. And he's done a great job with TCO. He's done a phenomenal job with orthopedic care in the Twin Cities in general. He's been a leader and a vocal advocate for independent practice. And basically, he set up the orthopedic program out at Ridgeview Hospital. And I would say that Ridgeview Hospital might be the best hospital that I've worked in the entire Twin Cities.
In today's words, we would call you an influencer, because at Ridgeview, to get anything done, we always had to go check with Gary Wyard. You had the inside scoop, you had the knowledge, you had the trust of the medical staff, and you had the wisdom to direct us in ways that kept us out of trouble. So thank you for that. You're always pretty blunt too. You always told it exactly like you saw it. I can remember the time you took me golfing. After a few holes, you said, you can go ahead and hit. So I teed it up, and I said, shouldn't we wait for that foursome to get off the fairway? And you said to me, you're not going to hit him. You're a terrible golfer. And you were right. I am a terrible golfer. But it was a little bit bruising to my hospital CEO ego to hear that. But you always told it like you saw it. And I really did appreciate that.
Another word that could describe Gary in a fun way is fast. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Gary played football at Edina High School, and he was the fastest running back in the Lake Conference. And it's my understanding when Gary went to Northwestern University, he was in the fast track for pre-med. And if anyone's done surgery with Gary, he's fast, but he's also very, very skillful. So it's better for the patient and everyone involved. If you've ever played golf with Gary, he's fast. In fact, the story is that he's walked and played 18 holes of golf in 2 hours. Apparently in the last year or so, Gary told his wife, Vicki, that if he found something that made him as happy as working as an orthopedic surgeon, he would consider retiring. Well, he's playing more golf lately, and in fact, in the last month, on a difficult course, he shot his age, a 78. So I think that this might be a good time for him to consider retiring. I think he's probably found something that would make him as happy as working.
I've worked with Dr. Wyard for 34 years, since in 1987, when he started bringing orthopedic services to a rural hospital in Hutchinson. His two-person group was called Orthopedic Consultants, so that meant he was on call every other night, every other weekend. He worked long hours, 7 days a week. Dr. Wyard had a vision, and he grew orthopedic consultants into Twin Cities Orthopedics. Any patient, any employee, any physician owes a debt of gratitude to Dr. Wyard for bringing Twin Cities Orthopedics to the successful practice that it is.
Every Tuesday he would call me when I was right in the middle of the clinic and ask me a couple of tough questions, and he always knew the answer to them, and he was just testing me to see if I knew what was going on. And I learned to be on my toes around him. And I also learned that if you're 5 minutes early, you're actually 10 minutes late. But he's a great guy. He's done a great job for TCO over the years. Always had the best interest of TCO or OCPA in the back of his mind. And we couldn't have come as far as we are without him.
Nobody's ever really accused you of not expressing your opinions very thoroughly and very vocally, but you never ever tried to force anything on me. You always listened to me from the very beginning. I very much appreciate that. You've always been right on in all your thought processes. You know, you cut right to the quick. You know exactly where things are going. You're an amazing judge of character. I never saw you fail on that either. We practiced together forever and ever. We went through some pretty stressful times in our practice when we were basically running four-man practice with two of us. You never ever, pulled seniority over me. You always pulled all your weight plus some, and it's always been a pleasure.
I have worked with Dr. Wyard for approximately 40 years. I think 25 or 30 of those years I was his care coordinator. We had quite a ride for 40 years. We had our ups and downs, but I think we made a really great team together. Some thank yous for you. You sent me flowers the day that my third son was born, and that was really awesome. It was very nice of you. And you also took care of him when his neighbor kid shot him with an arrow. You were right there in the emergency room. You took him right to surgery. You visited him. You took such good care of him, and Ron and I both want to thank you for that. That's really, really great. I'm wishing you good times, good health, and I want you to have good friends beside you for the rest of your life and great family fun.
I have to thank Dr. Wyard for my career. I was kind of headed in a different path. I was a urology advisor and on that path to work with my dad. And in surgery one day with my dad on one of my off days, one of the other urologists said, "Why in the world do you want to be a urologist?" So Dr. Wyard's son was my best friend, Brett Wyard, and I called Dr. Wyard. He said, "Why don't you come out and work with me for the day?" So we set up a day. I drove out there. Of course, it's January, and I'm in Minneapolis. He's in Waconia. It's a blizzard. Of course, I got up really early and made sure I was there on time. It was bad roads, but we made it. But there was a big to-do because the total joint components of a new joint that he was going to trial weren't there. And it was a new company that he was going to use, and he said, "All right, the guy's not here, we're not using it," and changed back to the regular company that we used to use there and changed everything out. Well, I remember about Dr. Wyard is this guy came scrambling in at the last minute. We're about ready to start, and the guy says, "Oh, the roads were terrible. Nobody could get here. It's impossible to get here." And there's about 4 or 5 of us standing around. Dr. Wyard went from person to person. "Were you here on time?" "Yes, I was, Dr. Wyard." "Were you here on time?" "Yes, I was." He looked at me. "Were you here on time?" "Yes, I was." "Huh, everybody else got here on time." And so Dr. Wyard's always had a good way of pointing things out that make a lot of sense, and he's been responsible for my career and helping me learn the business and orthopedics. So thank you, Dr. Wyard.
What an incredible ride this has been. It's been an honor working alongside you and coordinating the team's work through all of our quality improvement initiatives. We have had some really big thrills along the way and some really great achievements, including our opioid study, which you hung in there with us for a long time in this initiative. But without your guidance, your mentoring, your education, we wouldn't be where we are today.
I think when I first started with the group, you were the president or the chairman of the board or both, and we were all kind of, we're all kind of a little bit afraid of you by reputation. And I remember, I actually don't remember who told me this, but one of the other partners told me that Gary's a little rough around the edges or a little pushy sometimes, but he said you don't want Gary on the other team. And I think that's true. It's been great having you on our team.
Appreciate all the advice over the years, friendship, and all the things you've done for us behind the scenes. Certainly going to miss you around the building and miss you at the board meetings. Look forward to seeing you on a golf course somewhere.
It's been an incredible journey you've had as a stalwart and a leader of Twin Cities Orthopedics. It's been a pleasure to get to know you as a colleague and as a fellow golfer. Early in my time in Twin Cities Orthopedics, we would do some golf trips, and Gary was on a golf trip with us, and we were at a place called Erin Hills. And I was golfing a couple of holes behind Gary, and I was in the rough where I spent a lot of time in the deep weeds, and I was looking for my golf ball, and of course I didn't find my ball, but I found a golf ball, and I picked it up, and it said Ridgeview Medical Center on the golf ball. And I thought to myself, I wonder whose golf ball this could be. And I put it in my pocket. And at the end of the round, we were talking about how many golf balls we lost, or what our scores were. And Gary said, he says, what a great round I had. I didn't lose a single golf ball. And I pulled out of my pocket the Ridgeview golf ball, and I said, Gary, I would like you to tell me who from Ridgeview Medical Center was golfing here last week. And of course, Gary, you said to me, he says, oh yeah, I think I lost one golf ball.